Evening, and we are so thrilled to be with you. And give us just the first mini segment to get the program off and running, and then we want to take your phone calls for the next hour straight ahead. It is a privilege on behalf of everyone at Town Square Atlantic City, our president, Mike Rubel, our executive program director, Chris Coleman, who's also the executive producer of tonight's program, our entire team, including Chief Engineer Tom McNally, and of course, Senator Van Drew, for making it possible to do this program on a monthly basis. Ask the Senator is part of our wonderful Ask the different levels of government that we've been doing it now, the local, the state, and even the federal level as well. And it really is a privilege to spend this time with you, to give you the opportunity to watch the show on our YouTube channel at WPG1450.com. You can send your questions in right now by tweeting them, going to our Facebook page at WPG1450. You can send them directly to me. You can email them to the WPG1450.com website. And, of course, you can dial 609-407-1450 over the next hour. This is going to be great because Senator Van Drew really needs no introduction. His pedigree is just incredible. But this, in the form of a new program, gives us an opportunity to maybe talk about a few things that I know I haven't even mentioned in many years. And first of all, Senator, welcome to your program.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me, Harry. This is going to be a lot of fun. And thank you for the idea. It's good to get information out there, and this is a very powerful way of doing it.
And one thing I know you have always in your career, whether it was at the local level as mayor of Dennis Township, as a Cape May County freeholder, and as a member of the New Jersey legislature, you always maintain that closeness with the people. And this really is, I think, fitting in the Van Drew mold, your accessibility to the public in our own Town Square.
Absolutely.
So we thank you for that. Let me bring up something that you and I talked about years ago. And just for everybody's information, and I believe in honesty, Senator Van Drew and I are friends. It goes beyond just public service to me. I really like Jeff. And we go all the way back. My broadcasting career and your career in public elective service almost start on the same day.
Yep.
So we go back the whole time together over the past quarter of a century. And I remember when you were running, and I remember saying to you, hey, I'm a Republican and you're a Democrat, but that didn't matter to either of us because we didn't get hung up on labels. It was just about you're a good man. I didn't care whether you were a Democrat, an independent, a Republican. I don't think you cared about my party affiliation. And we've always had a very open relationship, whether it was an issue of controversy or if it was a very pleasant issue to discuss. So I've always appreciated that from you. And I remember when we were covering your career and you were going from the local level to the county level. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you are the first Democrat since Reconstruction, correct? To win countywide? Is that something close to that?
It's close to that, but it's the third Democrat in the 20th century. There were two, and of course we're in the 21st century now. There's been none since, but there were two other freeholders, both who were elected during Watergate. One of them was Tommy Tucker, and then the other one was freeholder, now passed away, friend of mine, Bill Sturm, who became a Republican. And actually, Harry, as you know, and you remember, became one of the most powerful Republicans in Cape May County and the state. They used to say, if a pin dropped in Cape May County, Bill Sturm knew it happened, He originally had started out as a Democrat, though. But there were few and far between.
I mean, it's rarefied.
Pretty much.
And I've been saying for decades now, if you didn't come of age, this would almost surely be Republicans winning each seat that you've held for quite a long time.
Well, you never know. There could be somebody else, but I appreciate
There hasn't been, though. I mean, I will give you credit, too, also. Some people can win and they don't have any legs. You've actually been successful in bringing in running mates.
We have, and it's because we run as a team, because I think what I've worried about or been concerned with running mates is not so much a running mate who is necessarily just a Democrat. I've been really concerned with a running mate who represents the will, the ideas, the vision, the sense of what the district is and what the district is about. And just if you look at Sergeant Andrewzak or former Sergeant Land, the two people that are running this time, and they're kind of my running mates because, as you know, even when I'm not running, when the Assembly is up and the Senate isn't, I'm involved and I want to help them out and be part of it because they're very good men. They are.
Is it fair to say, actually, it almost appears when your candidates are running and you're not on the ballot, that you actually, it almost appears that you are running. That's how active you are.
It probably does. It probably does. And there's a reason for that, because I really like and consider friends the two individuals that serve with me. And, they're unusual people. I mean, the Bob Andrewzak, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, lost, and he's come such a long way now. He's really getting used to the public service part of it. I mean, truly an American hero, was on national television, met the president, met the vice president. I mean, he really sacrificed and gave his all when he gave his leg. And oddly enough, I like to have fun and say, so I meet somebody else, and I'm not only looking for veterans. In fact, the other people who had served with me in the assembly weren't veterans in the past, but I meet this individual who's a great guy, and I really like him a lot, come to know more about him. He ends up, Bruce Land, being a veteran as well. And I always joke, and I always say, when I introduce him, I say, I'd like to tell you that he has a Bronze Star, but he doesn't. He has two, and the Soldier's Medal. And it's amazing when you read the report that comes from Washington of what he did, where they literally say, and I'm not embellishing or exaggerating, that he saved his troop. That, I mean, through his actions, through what he did, through his forethought, did so much. So,
do you think there's a transference in terms of the characteristic traits of serving in the military? And both of your running mates here, everybody that wears a uniform is special and important, and we honor them. But yours have really served in some tight spots. I mean, really dangerous conditions. Do you think there is sort of an almost natural transference where one level of public service is extremely compatible with another level of public service?
It should be. It should be, and it's something that you really want to look for. You want folks who are going to run in the public sector to be successful individuals who want to be part of the process for the right reasons, not because they're looking for anything out of it, not because they want to get anything out of it. So whether it's somebody in the private sector like myself who served as a dentist for years, or somebody that served in the military, it's good. It doesn't have to be. But it's really good when it isn't somebody that's just not part of the process and really involved with...
And by the way, for those who don't know, because they could take that as though you used to do that, you still serve as a dentist. I still serve as
a dentist, absolutely. I'm there part-time. I work hard.
See, I think that's important because every vote you cast and every vote your colleagues cast, you're directly affected by any taxes, by any decisions. So I think the people that get involved and maybe are around too long and they lose sight of the fact that the decisions that government makes and what impact it has, because if you have cushy benefits and you're comfortable with your salary and you don't have a business and any skin in the game, then it's easy to cast certain votes that have no impact.
When you know what the impact's going to be, the very first position I ever held, everybody would say it's to be a commissioner in the fire company or a township committee member in Dennis Township. But the very, very first position I ever held, which is kind of surprising for folks, is I was president of the Dental Society, the Atlantic-Cape May County Dental Society. And you see, and if you talk to anybody that's in small business, just how difficult it can be and what you go through and what the challenges are. It really teaches you an important lesson. And that's the lesson that I learned through this whole process.
Senator, before we take your first phone calls in our inaugural episode, I hope we made that clear at the outset here about 9 minutes ago.
This is it, the beginning, the first one.
The debut of a monthly program, Ask the Senator, on WPG Talk Radio 1450, and we'll always give you as much notice in advance as we can so that you can plan. It's a program that will float based on the senator's schedule, because obviously he runs a practice, and of course he has a voting schedule and obviously duties that he has as the state senator from District 1. So we will move this from time to time to different days. Typically the 6 o'clock hour we'll try to stay with, but different days depending on the senator's schedule each month. But we will do this on a monthly basis. We're committed to it, and I know Senator Van Drew is committed to it. We have Karen and Cape May who's going to come up first. We have Al who will be second. And I want to just give you one other sort of introductory opportunity, even though I did sort of in an opening monologue, do a quick look at a glance at different positions you had. How did you get involved in electoral politics?
Well, in electoral politics, township committee member in my township, and I just went out door to door and figured it was, there were some good folks that I knew that happened to be Democrats in my town who were great folks. I was never worried, and I'm still not worried. And I know, Harry, this drives people crazy. I always say, I'm not worried about the Democrat and Republican label. I just really, really am not. I'm sorry when it aggravates people.
You drive people crazy.
I know,
with that.
And they, on both sides.
You're
of the
allowed
aisle,
to vote no on the budget. They let you vote no.
Believe me, there's
drive crazy.
There's just, I try to do what I really believe is right, and sometimes the decisions are tough, but you do that. But I ran for township committee, and I walked every door, every street, and most of them more than once, like twice. And if you know anything about Dennis Township, it would, it's around 6,000 people. 52 square miles, 56 square miles rather. So it's a big place. There's a lot of walking to be done.
That's a big place for that few people.
Oh, it is. It's really spread out. So
you take Ventnor for 6,000, 7,000 voters that they might have. You walk from Jackson Avenue to Martindale Avenue, you've covered the whole town.
Over 50 square miles. Goes all the way, literally, into Sea Isle. Half of the bridge in Sea Isle is actually in Dennis Township, all the way over to Cumberland County, to Morris River Township, and everything in between. 8 unincorporated towns. So I learned a lot. People talked to me. And, when I ran the first time, this is the ancient history, right? It was when people were mad at Florio. And boy, oh boy, did I get
that was supposed to be like the kiss of death.
It was, and a lot of folks didn't make it. I did win, and
you went against
the tie. They're very good to me, and I was actually the top vote getter, and I was really.
By the way, as mad as people were at Governor Florio, and I always have a soft spot because I really hold him in high esteem for a lot of reasons, including the fact that although I hated the taxes that were raised, at least he paid as he went. Look at the horrific borrowing and other means, raiding pension funds. I know toilet paper tax and some of these things of $4 if you buy 4 tires, very objectionable taxes that were put in place. And I have a lot of respect for Steve Persky, and he was going from the old school, hey, you're going to raise taxes, you do it early and you do it all.
Yeah, right.
And then 3 years later, but it changed. People remembered that. But here's what people do forget, Senator. I know you don't. Whitman barely won that election. It was very close.
It was very close in the end.
As unpopular, quote, as he was supposed to be, Florio almost won re-election.
Yeah, and we've never recovered really quite from that. Now, I've been, I think we're taxed enough in New Jersey, and I've said this, I don't know how many different ways. We're taxed, tolled, feed, charged, more than enough, and that's why, in general, other than there's been exceptions, millionaires tax, certain things which I have voted for, and I've been clear on it. In general, when these new taxes come along, like a gas tax, a plastic bag tax, a realty transfer tax,
horrible,
the water runoff tax, I'm just naming a few of them. When all these things come along, I will argue it out and say that I'm not for it. So I generally am fiscally conservative, and you've known that throughout the years. But the truth is, you either tighten your belt and are fiscally conservative and say you can't do certain things, and that's what we did in Dennis Township. We always didn't have everything we wanted, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place, and we have a wonderful facilities and all, but some things you can't do, or you increase taxes. Now, Florio, I disagreed with him, but he chose to increase taxes. You just don't borrow the money.
Pretty massively, too.
And you don't, it was unbelievable. And you don't, largest tax increase ever. You don't borrow money to pay for annual expenses and actually have to return the money over a 20 or 30 year period of time, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's what we've gotten into now. We have literally a worldwide tragedy going on when you see what's happening in Greece and in many countries, and it isn't only Greece.
Well, when I knew we had a problem, Senator, in this state was when we were having trouble paying the bills during the best of times.
Yeah.
I remember telling our listeners.
That's when you save money.
If we're having trouble paying the bills now, I said, I don't wish this on us, but markets go up, they go down, economies go up, they go down.
You're absolutely right.
And there will come a time where we're in a downturn, and how are we going to make it when we're not making it in the best of times? Let's get a quick comment. We'll get your call.
When the women administration was in, and they sent over to the township and said, Mary, you don't have to pay, the pension. So we want to pay the pension. We want to get it done. We want to pay as you go. We don't want to rack up all this debt. It's bad.
You're listening to Senator Jeff Andrew, the state senator from District 1 in New Jersey. It's our brand new monthly program, Ask the Senator. I'm Harry Hurley. This is WPG Talk Radio 1450. Our first caller in your inaugural Ask the Senator program is Karen in beautiful Cape May. Karen, welcome to the program. It's your turn to ask the Senator.
Hello, Senator Andrew. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hi, how are you?
Great. It seems that so many people, good people in our state, are deciding to leave the state for other places. And I'm wondering, what's your opinion on how we can stop wealth flight?
Well, when I was talking about taxing and all those issues, so let's really look at some of the issues. We have an estate tax and we have a pension tax, two taxes that I think are really problematic in the state of New Jersey. We have, I'll say it in a simple way, the highest estate tax. The way that it is linked, it's not linked to the federal exemption. It's separate. It's $600 and some $1,000, the estate tax. After that, you start paying taxes. Because of that, people leave New Jersey. The second reason that they leave New Jersey is because their pensions are taxed and they want to go somewhere where their pensions aren't taxed. And that's a real issue as well. We would actually keep people here if we didn't have that issue.
Can I add something to Karen's question?
Yes.
Because she's absolutely right. We have wealth flight because we've made it, in some cases, impossible for good people to stay. They work their whole life, they have their pension, and they realize they're getting taxed into oblivion. So what did the state of New Jersey do? They haven't fixed that. Instead, they said, hey, all these people, we have record numbers of people leaving, so let's tax them when they leave. Right. That was terrible. That was like salt on the wound. Instead of fixing the problem and keeping people, we decided we're going to accept the people leave and tax the sale of their home when they leave.
No, and we really want to keep people, and it's very, very important.
Can we do it?
I think we can do it. I mean, we really have to have the mindset to do it, and some of the issues I'm talking about are going to be really important, and it's going to be a real test. We're still not where we need to be, and I state the obvious, but those would be good places to start and important places to start.
Karen, anything else?
No, that's a great answer. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for your call. Have a great night. Karen and Kate May. Let's say hello to Al. Al, it's your turn. Ask the senator. Go.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Just to let you know, I'm a former councilman for the city of Corbin City for 16 years.
Thank you for your service.
Excuse me, I met Jeff before a couple times down in Avalon, or mostly at Stone Harbor. You are a nice man, and I think you're a genuine person.
Thank you.
The thing I want to say to you that I was very upset about, and I want to ask you to look into it, is the fact that nobody seems to get fired for when they do a bad job. A friend of mine went he got in a very bad car accident. He's on a disability, and he got a little job working in Woodbine for the state, where he was getting like $100 a week. So he went down because he was on food stamps, and he said, here, I'm making $100 a week. Do I need to get less food stamps or whatever? And they said, absolutely not. You're okay. I'll check with my supervisor. And they did. They called him down a year later and said to him, you have the right to remain silent. If you don't, you can have a court, you can be arrested. And he went, whoa, what's going on here? Now, this man's on all kinds of medicine because of this horrible position he's in. And he signs this paper saying, okay, I'm going to pay $25 back. He said, but you told me it was okay. They brought out a piece of paper that said, it doesn't matter if we were wrong and told you it was okay. You're still responsible. Now, as far as I'm concerned, we can't do that on the private side.
You're right.
How can we do this in government when the government's wrong and turn around and put it back to the people? It's not fair. I mean, there's got to be some kind of accountability. I'll hang up and hear what you have to answer on the radio.
Thank you, Al.
You're right.
Senator.
You're right. And it's hopefully one of the aspects that I bring to the job, because I am involved in the private sector and have been for many years. And not only that, just common sense would tell you that, you have to be responsible to people. And so often folks sometimes think, not everybody, and there are some good people in government that do an excellent job, but there are a number of individuals who get to a certain position and they believe they can do whatever they want and they're insulated and it's the government and they can get away with it. Recently, the Department of Treasury has, by the way, to the question of how can we keep more people in New Jersey, by not doing things that I'm going to talk about right now. So the Department of Treasury is going to marinas and finding boats that are there that are from other areas, and if they're staying there more than just a day or whatever, a certain period of time, I'm not sure exactly what the time frame is, but it's not for months. because we're trying to change that in our bill. If they stay there for a little while, they want to charge them the sales tax that they would have paid
if they bought
the boat.
That's terrible.
I'm not making this stuff up.
That's unconscionable.
It's not making this stuff up because they think that they're berthing or docking their boat.
Now you listening?
Right here.
Oh my gosh.
So, and that's the kind of attitude sometimes. Or I have other people that have problems. Here's another example. Believe me, I can tell you a story. I can tell you hair on the back of your neck on end. Somebody built a house, and I won't say what town it is in, but built a house, and they got all the approvals, got all the local approvals, did everything right, weren't being sneaky, weren't building in the middle of the night, not doing anything wrong. And then all of a sudden, at a certain point, the DEP came along and said, you can't build there. And now these were regular, simple folk. They were folks that aren't really involved in government bureaucracy.
They've spent money on plans, permits, everything.
They built the house.
Oh, so
it's there. It's even worse. It's there, structurally there. And DEP says you're going to have to knock the house down.
But was there a save?
We were able. There was a save. It was not a perfect, and we were involved in the save. But
was it very costly to them?
But in the beginning, it was. Yeah. Now the save wasn't that costly in the end because we were able. Sometimes we can help. Sometimes it's not so easy. But the point was. They were told that they should have known that it was wetlands, and they built on wetlands. Well, if the municipality didn't tell them,
right?
How is it the responsibility of Mr. and Mrs. Joe Average?
They did everything right. They had all their approvals.
Every approval.
And this
zoning board, planning board.
And this is what gives our state a bad rep.
It does.
Because who would ever believe that any bureaucratic agency, that the solution would be, you will have to tear your home down? That's so objectionable, unacceptable.
It's unbelievably unacceptable. It's it's un-American.
Yes.
It is literally un-American. How about the young lady, and that's been more than one young lady. I have stories, I've spoken to attorneys of people who were decent individuals who have no criminal record, have never done a bad thing in their life, who potentially could serve a jail sentence, like Shanine Allen made that mistake when she came over from Philadelphia into New Jersey.
Yeah,
literally openly told the trooper
what she had,
did everything the right way, and at most should have had a smack on the wrist for ignorance, not knowing exactly what the laws were in New Jersey. But in no way should there ever been a risk that you're going to go to jail for this. There is an individual I was speaking to, an attorney. I'm just trying to just so folks know, I know. I go through this. This is what I live, trying to help people straighten these situations out. Day in, day out, people trying to get nursing licenses. And I'm on the Red Tape Commission with the Lieutenant Governor. We have 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, and we're trying to help with some of these issues there. But somebody else has their own farm, and they have a shotgun that was 1 inch too short. Not making this stuff up, Harry. Never taking it off the farm, used it for target practice on the farm. Somehow it got known that he had this. No criminal record, never a transgression, not even a minor transgression in any way ever. Older gentleman potentially may have to go to prison.
They're going to have him for some kind of sawed-off shotgun.
Exactly.
Illegal.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
We're out of control, and that's why the beautiful listener caller, Karen, called in and said, what can we do to stop creating an environment where people who would otherwise love our state feel forced to leave?
Yeah, and part of it's financial, and part of it is almost cultural in the way we do things. And when I bring up some of these issues to other folks, and very often in my caucus, quite frankly, people look at me like I got 3 heads when I say these
Let's
things.
get a quick break, and we're going to come back in 90 seconds. It's State Senator Jeff Van Drew from the 1st Legislative District of New Jersey. It's our brand new Town Square Atlantic City program that we'll stage on a monthly basis. Ask the Senator. The main idea is you have the opportunity to ask your questions. That's the whole point and the foundation of this program and any of the other programs that we do. Ask the mayor, ask the congressman, your opportunity to participate. So dial us up at 609-407-1450, and we'll get you right on air with the Senator Jeff Van Drew when we come back. I'm going to ask the Senator, the interview continues when we come back. I'm going to ask the Senator, is he really a Democrat when we come back?
WPG Talk Radio 1450 presents Ask the Mayor with Atlantic City Mayor Don Guardian. The summer of 2015 is in full swing, and we have your chance to ask Mayor Guardian questions about what's happening in the city. Ask the Mayor is brought to you by the New Jersey Casino Reinvestment Development Authority and Municipal Equipment Enterprises on Fire Road in EHT, your New Jersey contract headquarters. Ask the Mayor, Tuesday evening, July 14th on WPG Talk Radio 1450.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS? If so, you may qualify for a special tax program so you won't make any payments to the IRS. Listen carefully. If you qualify for the CNC tax program, you won't make any payments to the IRS while in this program. Get ready, as we're going to give you the most important number you may ever need to finally end your IRS nightmare. This toll-free number should only be used if you can't afford to pay any money to the IRS. Call 800-456-3205 now for free information and to see if you qualify for the CNC tax program. Once you're accepted, the IRS must stop all harassing collection activities. Imagine no threatening phone calls, no wage garnishments or bank levies, and no more monthly payments to the IRS. Just call 800-456-3205 now to find out if you qualify for the CNC tax program. Remember, you won't make any payments to the IRS while in this program. Call 800-456-3205 for free information now. That's 800-456-3205. 800-456-3205. Again, 800-456-3205.
WPG Talk Radio 1450 presents Ask the State Senator. It's your opportunity to talk directly to State Senator Jeff Van Drew. Call 609-407-1450 with your questions. Now with State Senator Jeff Van Drew, here's Harry Hurley.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to the first episode of a monthly program here on Town Square Media's Atlantic City property of Town Square Media, New Jersey. Ask the Senator with Senator Jeff Van Drew. And as I teased right before the break, let me put this as delicately as I can. Not. Do you believe you are a strong partisan Democrat? Let me go further. Do you believe your most important responsibility is to be a good Democrat?
I'm not a strong partisan. I just have never been. And I've always believed that my primary responsibility was to be the best American I can be and the best representative I can be. And that, is what our country was based on. Anybody that knows history, and Harry, I know you know history and knows what George Washington said and what the other leaders at the time believed, that if political parties became too powerful, it would be dangerous, and that the elected officials would become more beholden and more loyal to their political party than they were to their country. And we have to be careful about that. I really believe in the independence. It's hard to do sometimes. It isn't always easy. Sometimes people get aggravated with me. I've had a good number of folks that have been tolerant of me too. So I actually
Is it fair to say you actually get Democrats and Republicans mad?
I do. Because
do you feel sometimes like you're on your own island?
I don't know if I feel like I'm on my own island, because I think there's a whole lot of people that are like me. So when you feel like you're your own island is maybe.
But how many Democrats have voted against? How many Democrats have voted against budgets of their own party?
Not too often, that's for sure.
That's what I'm talking about.
Sure, especially when I did, and especially some other votes that I've taken, and I've been very. For example, I know some people will disagree with this, but I'm pro Second Amendment, and I've been strongly Second Amendment. I didn't get an A from the NRA; I got an A+. And take a look how many people got A+ on their rating,
and how many Democrats,
and how many. Yeah, well,
I mean that's as rarefied as it gets.
And so what really started me, I'll tell you, I had met some friends when I first came down. I was a young dentist and said, maybe I'd be a little interested in getting involved in politics. And they happened to be Democrats, and they said, Jeff, we'd love to get you involved. And I said, I might be too conservative. I was really honest about it. I said, I'm a little bit conservative to be a Democrat. There's certain values I like. I care about working people and working persons' issues and real issues, and people I admired like John F. Kennedy and FDR. And I know some folks question some of FDR, but you know what? FDR did what was needed, an awful lot of what was needed at a time that we were in big trouble. So they said, this is a big tent, and you're certainly welcome into it. And in this big tent, in the South Jersey Democratic tent, we're proud to have you. So that was many years ago, and I ended up being...
Had the Republicans, I've never asked you this question in 25 years, I don't think. If the Republicans had courted you, could you have gone in as a Republican?
I don't know. You can't look back in history that way. It's really hard to say what history would be. All I know is it ended up being what it is, and I'm proud of what I am. I'm proud to be a Democrat. I'm not always proud of every Democratic initiative, and I don't think every Republican is always proud of, however you feel about it, every Republican issue. For example, now I see the Republican Party, there's a tremendous split on what Donald Trump has said. Regardless of how you feel about the issue, isn't even the point now on the immigration issue. So you have Jeb Bush saying one thing, you have Marco Rubio saying something else, and you have a variety of opinions there.
And Ted Cruz
and Ted Cruz saying even something more. Yeah, going further out the other way.
Well, this is the other thing that I think is a phenomenon. They all get asked, why do they have to comment on what somebody else said? Go talk to them.
Yeah, which is true to a great degree. Yeah.
Nobody asks you, do you agree that Jim Whalen is for casinos in North Jersey? Nobody asks you to answer for him.
Yeah, nor should they.
Exactly. And I think it's totally a biased situation that only goes one way. Senator,
and I don't think Jim would have to answer for me sometimes.
Touche. So let me go to this North Jersey casino situation. I know your position on this because we have talked about it, but I want your listeners on Ask the Senator to have the opportunity to hear your views on and what is your stance on casinos in North Jersey.
I've been clear about this, and I will continue to be clear about it. I am not voting for, I am not supporting, I am not pushing, I am not encouraging any North Jersey casinos. And it's a real issue, by the way. Just because Jeff Van Drew is, it doesn't mean that it's not going to go through. And it's not going to go through this year.
Thank God, because there's not time really to make it happen by August 3rd.
Yeah, it's not only the time. I think even the folks that are for it are a little bit nervous, some of them.
The numbers don't look good, right?
It's an off year. And when the numbers don't look good and it's an off year, and you don't have those masses of people voting, it's a different issue.
So
in a presidential, it's a whole different ballgame. So you think in a presidential
election, the biggest sampling that there is,
to have more of a shot,
that's when they would want to pull the trigger.
That's what I think. And I think that's what you're possibly going to see. I am deeply concerned for our area. I think we had some opportunities, and some people are just faulting the governor. And, when I disagree with the governor, I say it. When I agree with him, I say it. And with the governor, I disagreed with the pension payment. I think we should have made it. I do. However, I have to say,
where was the money coming from?
I have to say that, we can talk about that in 1 second, but this is a governor that when he worked with me, and does work with me, I don't see him quite as much as I did, was willing to work out the Beasley's Point issue, the traffic lights on the Parkway issue, the Great Egg Bridge issue, the Vineland Developmental Center issue, all huge issues. Every time he looked me in the eye and gave me his word on something, I can only speak for Jeff Van Drew, he kept that word, and we were able to work some of those issues out. They were big issues.
Let me follow up. Had the Supreme Court of New Jersey ruled the other way and ordered the pension payment to be made, I think we would have had a financial calamity. Where was that money going to come from?
It was coming, where it was coming. It was coming from the millionaire's tax, which was a big piece of it. For it or against it, that's where it was coming from. And I remember.
And then let's go back to Karen's question to Kate May. You talk about additional wealth flights, doing that stuff.
And you don't love it, and I agree, and I don't necessarily love to see it, but there is also a point where the bond rating keeps getting lowered, and the bond rating keeps getting diminished because we're not paying the debt that we owe.
True or false? True or false? Has Governor Christie not, let me put this in the affirmative, has he made more pension payments?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Than all of them put together?
Yep. Absolutely.
So he's supposed to do it all.
Absolutely. I've said all along, and I think the ultimate answer is going to be that we've got to get it done, but it may not be exactly the way that we thought it was originally going to be done. And I don't think you can do it all in one shot. But we do owe to, whether it's our police officers, our teachers, or others at a certain point. And I was willing, remember, I'm one of the folks that was willing to say we got to make some changes in the system and put myself out in a very vulnerable way in one of my tougher elections because of it. I went along with saying, no, we need to make some change here. And not by far, many Democrats did not.
That was a profile and courage moment.
That was tough.
It truly was.
But now we have a responsibility as well.
I want you to spend a couple minutes, if you would, tell the listeners about your running mates. We know, and I think a lot of people are getting to know Sergeant Andrzejczak very well, but still introduce him and tell us about Sergeant Land.
So we'll start with Sergeant Bob Andrewzak. And some people ask too, they always say, gee, is it correct to call him Sergeant? Yes, because he retired. He's medically retired, which means that even in the literature,
you keep the rank in my view anyhow.
Yeah, but for example, Bruce Land, that's very interesting, all the military terminology. You have to say former. You can't really use it. You can't say Sergeant Bruce Land. It has to be former Sergeant Bruce Land. Where with Bob, you can actually say Sergeant. Basically, 2 tours of duty in Iraq. Wasn't supposed to go back. His mom didn't want him to go back. His superiors didn't want him to go back. He insisted. His men were there. He went back, and not only did he go back, he was supposed to get the proverbial desk job. He didn't. He ended up being a tail gunner. And the long story short, got his left leg blown off and took a tremendous hit. He really teaches me what it's all about as far as being in the military. You know what's really enlightening? When you hear the news and they talk about beheadings, and Bob will tell you about the beheadings he saw, or the human heads that he found. Or, it's really will teach you a lesson a little bit when you see Bob working his leg, because he drives with me sometimes when we're going to events. But what are you doing? I didn't know what he was doing in the beginning. He's still for the rest of his life, he will be working shrapnel out of his leg.
That's what my father had to do.
They keep doing it for whole life. They keep working the shrapnel out.
Very painful, too.
And he has the shrapnel of the metal in his leg. His colleagues that were with him on the truck have the shrapnel of his bone, his leg, in them. Bruce Land served in Vietnam, received not 1 but 2 Bronze Stars for extreme valor, received a Soldier's Medal and many, many other medals as well. And by positioning his men the right way and by protecting them and doing what he should do, he's received just, so many accolades from.
Let me throw a very brutally tough question at you, and then we're going to go to Bob and Kate May next. And you can join us on the phone lines at 609-407-1450 for Ask the Senator with Senator Jeff Van Drew. It's Town Square Atlantic City's monthly program with the Senator, and we're at 37 minutes past the hour. We'll be here until 5 minutes past the hour. 609-407-1450 phone lines are open. It came up earlier, and it's I think an easy question for you to answer, because I know your intentions are pure. It's about the quality and the character, and not trying. But some people do even say to me, hey, I know you really like Jeff Andrew, but he's picking these military people because you can't attack them. I said, well, wait a minute. I said, does that mean they're disqualified?
Yeah, what are we supposed
to do? Pick them?
We can't, exactly. Thank you.
And your first 2, Milam and Albano, did not serve that I know of.
They did not.
Okay, so you're 2 for 2. 2 and 2 rather, out of 4. Yeah. 2 and 2. But what do you say to those who say you are picking war heroes, injured war heroes that can't, wounded warriors that cannot be attacked, and that this is some kind of, political thing?
Either we're allowed to pick them because they've served their country, and we all agree we want our military to be more involved in the actual governance of our country. Maybe we'd have less problems. I'd love to see a real general become a president.
Yeah.
Like General Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Or we preclude them and say, no, sorry, you lost your left leg defending us. You were willing to die for us. You were willing to give up your all and make the ultimate sacrifice. And because you did that, we're never going to allow you to run for office.
What's interesting,
I can't help it. They're good candidates, and they still can be. And they've actually said a few things about Bob. As time comes along, they'll do a little bit more. It's the nature of the political
they
process.
thank him for his service, and they
should.
So let me say this, and I think this is also a factor. And I studied a bunch of legislatures around the country. Whenever we are at times of war, in the whole history of this country, General Grant, you mentioned General Eisenhower, generals and other soldiers emerge into the electoral system. And you're seeing state legislatures and other positions, local and county, around the country, where a lot of people who have served, Iraqi freedom, all the different wars, Persian Gulf War, it seems as though it's just a natural progression.
It is a natural progression, and it's the right thing, and it's a way to show that we do value their service. It's a way to get them involved. So who better to be involved? You know, somebody will say, well, gee, do they have enough experience? I don't know. You had enough experience to put your life on the line and pull the trigger and take somebody else's life. I think you can vote on that voting.
And you were allowed to leave your leg in another country.
Exactly.
So you can serve.
And to go through what you went through, and both men went through a lot. So I'm very proud of them.
Bob and Cape May, say hello to Senator Jeff Andrew.
Hi, Harry and Senator. Nice to hear you on the radio. And I can only say that the Cape May County Republicans really missed an opportunity by not recruiting you if you were open to being a Republican at one time. But the question I have for you is we've had serious economic development issues here in Cape May County. For years, we've led the state in being the highest unemployment in the state. We've had the highest unemployment historically for decades. Now, Atlantic County may have beaten us lately. I'm not sure.
We do.
Yeah, it's not that we're doing better. You're right, Bob. It's they're doing worse.
Correct.
Exactly. And you know, Harry had a fellow on this morning. I don't remember his name. I think his first name was Rocco. But he had apparently has a great plan, a great idea for stimulating Atlantic County's economic growth, and having a 3.5% sales tax, dramatically lowering real estate taxes. And the proof in the pudding that this would work, go across the bay to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and that area is booming. I can tell you that is absolutely booming. Look at the real estate values there. I was interested in buying real estate over there a few years ago. Their real estate values, I said, are dramatically higher than Cape May there.
Hey, Bob, let me jump in real quick. Because this is something that you and I have had the chance for a number of years on Hurley in the Morning, WPG Talk Radio 1450's morning show, to talk about this issue. And you personally can speak to it. In case Senator Vandrew doesn't know, Bob and his wife own and run a fabulous motel. It's a hotel. It's not. It just happens to be called motel, but it's a hotel. And I'm a hotelier, and I say that the quality is just outstanding. And Bob and I go way back, and Cindy. The tax that was put in place was devastating. Was it not, Bob?
Oh, it's hurt big time. I mean, specifically to the lodging industry. But
and I was against it then, and I wish I could have stopped it. I voted against it. I spoke against it.
It was so obvious
when they had a rally against it. I was part of the rally against it. That's why even, Bob, this boat tax that I have, and we moved this through. I am so hopeful that the governor signs this bill. Let me talk about this a little bit, because I'll tell you about something good. So some of the folks at South Jersey Marine and all throughout the area, Viking yachts, a lot of through, Ocean County, Atlantic County, Cape May County, came to me and said, we're getting killed. We've lost 10,000 boat registrations since 2000. 10,000, right? And the reason is because other states, and they're not just Republican states, by the way, even Mario Cuomo is doing it in New York. You see what's going on in New York, He's doing
rebates and everything.
Exactly, all kinds of things. And that's what we need to do more of. So what they've done in these other states, they placed a cap on how much you can tax a boat, some of these larger boats. And in the beginning, when I first came out and did the similar bill, and I did it with Sergeant Andrews Act, and we did the original bill, in fact, there was a whole progressive white paper that was done on it, on how bad it was, and I wanted to give a break to millionaires. And that wasn't the point. The millionaires can go wherever they want, because guess what? They can go to New York and it has a cap. They can go to Delaware and there's no tax at all. They can go to North Carolina. They can go to Florida and there's a cap. They can go to Maryland. There's a lot of states. All the states around us now either have none or have a cap. They will not tax a boat the full amount of their sales tax. So obviously it's not rocket science. If we want to compete, we've got to really do something. And 7% of nothing is what? Nothing. Yeah. So there's no point. And actually, it really.
But isn't the game that they use that to anticipate revenue, to phony balance the budget? And it doesn't matter.
Part of it, and then you can get away with that for a while, but obviously it catches up with you. So lo and behold, who usually does not give me a good editorial, the Star-Ledger even said it was the right thing to do this bill. This thing really started to catch on. Had to put up with some agita in the beginning and some fighting. We got the bill through both my committee and also the budget committee got it through the budget committee, and the other committee on the assembly got it to the floor vote. It's on the governor's desk. I called Regina twice now. I called her today, and I called her a few days ago, and I said, Kevin O'Dowd was a great friend of mine, a great guy. Not that Regina isn't, but Kevin, if you know, for most folks, this is insider ball, don't know him, but I had a little bit of a mouth on him, and then he'd say, I said, Kevin, come on, damn it, this is the right thing to do. And you'd get, and once you proved it to him, he would just go off on a litany of whatever, you know what I mean, saying it was the right thing to do.
Is anybody tipping where this might go? Because obviously the governor is away a bit, and the acting governor is not going to sign. She could, but she's not going to sign.
All she said, they have not given me, and it will be awful. And I believe when they look into it more and see the real numbers, I believe when the governor gets to put some input into it, I believe he will sign the bill. I will be profoundly disappointed if he doesn't, because it's exactly the stuff we're talking about. It's exactly right. What it does is it puts a $20,000 cap on sales tax for these big boats.
Might he let the clock run out and then it passes that way? Could there be something going on like that?
He can do it any way he wants, but we would prefer, though, I mean, he's got so many bills there, that he do it as soon as possible. So what some of the marinas are doing and the fishing industry is doing and some other groups are doing is they're calling and asking for it to go through more quickly. We're trying to salvage a little bit. It takes effect immediately, salvage a little bit of this year.
Now, unless there's some kind of revenue problem, and this is New Jersey after all, a conservative would normally be excited to approve something like that,
and
right?
even if there's again 7% of nothing is nothing, so we're losing the revenue. Yeah, that's the point. It's really
and it hurts the boat builders that lose their jobs.
Right. It's, you know, I liken these issues, whether it's the estate tax or whether it's the inheritance tax, to almost like a drug. When you do it and you take it, it makes you less healthy. It's not good for you. But you need it. You got to have it.
You need the
fix. You know what I mean? You need the fix. And that's the problem with some of these. Right. So we've got to try as we can go along. And this is a good first step because we're losing so many boat registrations anyhow. We're really not getting that much money from it. So this is a really good first step, and this is one we should do. So
you raise a good point. This state really is in recovery. They should be saying, my name is the state of New Jersey. They should be in recovery right now. Bob, we're up against the clock. Our final break. Closing comment from you.
No, I just, you know, it's just we have an example here of Jeff again is he's going beyond party labels. He's doing the right thing. I mean, you know, you've won me over, and you know, again, I absolutely agree with you, Jeff. I mean, as far as that tax on boats, you're absolutely right. And you know, again, if we're going to be competitive, you know, the other states that are doing well economically, they've got lower taxes. They're not burdening the free market system.
Bob, do us a quick favor. Give us a quick 30 seconds, and then we got to go on the summer in Cape May. How is occupancy? How's business? Is Cape May having a good summer? What's happening?
Well, you know, 4th of July weekend was terrific, but we can't live off 4th of July weekend. And you know, I'd like to tell you things are all hunky-dory, but not really, Harry.
And if they're not in July...
It's not as good as it should be. And Harry, I do things right here. I mean, I've poured hundreds of thousands of dollars into my property. It's, you know, I've got all new kitchens, all new bathrooms. I've done a ton of work here, and you know, business is good. I'm not saying it's terrible, but it should be a lot better. I mean, I know what I'm doing, and I'm a little disappointed right now. I just wish we were a little better. I really do. I mean, and I just, for my own personal gain, I'm really, believe it or not, look, I really try to share the fruits of my labor with my employees. I really try to stay open longer in the season, even when I'm not making money. I just have an attitude. We're all in this together.
And they appreciate that.
And then, Bob,
there's many owners that do that. And in general, some of the restaurants will stay open a little longer to try to keep it going a little longer.
Thanks for the honest assessment, Bob. Talk to you soon.
Take care, Bob.
You got it.
Bye-bye.
We're going to be right back. Phone lines are open for the Senator, Senator Jeff Andrew. After all, it is Ask the Senator. That's the whole point. I'm Harry Hurley. Chris Coleman is directing the program tonight. Terrifically, I might add. You can watch us at WPG1450.com. Certainly listen to us as well, whether it's from the website at WPG1450.com on the Listen Live perch or on our radio app, the Town Square Media exclusive radio app, Radio Pup, that you should put on your home screen and have it ready to go, and put WPG 1450 right there in your favorites so that it comes right on as soon as you load the app. We'll be back with Senator Van Drew, and I hope more of your calls at 609-407-1450 in 90 seconds.
Visit the WPG Talk Radio 1450 YouTube channel through WPG1450.com to access exclusive video content from South Jersey's talk station. Watch every episode of Ask the Mayor with Don Garden and Ask the Congressman with Frank Lobiondo on demand. Plus, see videos from Harry Hurley.
And just click on our YouTube channel and you'll be able to view video
and more. Subscribe to the WPG Talk Radio 1450 YouTube channel today.
Health Update with Robin Stola, brought to you by Atlantic Care. Healthcare you can believe in.
Hi, I'm Robin Stola for Health Update. Summertime is in full swing, and everywhere we go, we see people walking in sandals and flip-flops. We all love to slip on an easy pair of flip-flops in the summer because they're comfortable and quick when we're on the run. Experts say they're okay to wear when we're going to the beach or around the pool, but they're not your best choice for extensive walking like you would do on the boardwalk or when you're shopping. Unlike sneakers or sturdy shoes, standard flip-flops or sandals have no arch support, heel cushion, or shock absorption, and they can lead to foot pain, tendinitis, or other foot conditions. So limit your sandals or flip-flops to a short trip to the beach or the pool and opt for a sturdier shoe for longer walks. I'm Robin Stola for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stola, brought to you by Atlantic Care. Healthcare you can believe in.
WPG Talk Radio 1450 presents Ask the State Senator. It's your opportunity to talk directly to State Senator Jeff Van Drew. Call 609-407-1450 with your questions. Now with State Senator Jeff Van Drew, here's Harry Hurley.
Thanks very much. Welcome back to Ask the Senator. 609-407-1450 phone lines are open. Senator Van Drew, this is something that I know you feel very, very strongly about, and that is our VA healthcare system. Your thoughts?
We can do so much better. We ask men and women to sacrifice mind, body, and soul for this nation, and then they come back and the healthcare is not what it should be. So I could speak at it at many levels. And remember, this is from somebody who a number of years ago, I did not serve in the military. I served in the VA. I was a resident and intern in the VA system in Lyons VA and in East Orange. Lyons predominantly neuropsychiatric, and East Orange was general admission. And it is just too much bureaucracy. It takes too long to be taken care of. Our vets are not treated with the respect sometimes that they deserve. We see and it isn't the amount of money. I was really disturbed that Congress's answer to that, if you remember a while back when all this was coming out, and it was both sides of the aisle. We're going to allocate more money. It's not how much money. I mean, money matters. You got to put the money into it, but it's changing the system and the culture of how you go about it. It's particularly a problem, and Congressman Lobiondo knows this, and he's been working hard in South Jersey to try to see what he can do, and it's not been easy. Assemblyman Andrewzak and I did a joint resolution from the state. It's the strongest resolution you can do. Is it going to change the world? No, but it's certainly something that's a real indicator, and we got people from North Jersey to vote for it too, that essentially said that we needed to do a pilot program in South Jersey where veteran, hypothetically, Harry Hurley, gets a card and he can go to Shore Memorial or Inspira or Atlanticare or wherever. It is how it should be. Harry, at the end of the day...
We're taking vets to Delaware in buses without bathrings.
I mean, but we're still doing it, and we're still doing it.
Cancer,
and we got to raise, the money for decent vans. We don't even get the vans,
and that's true.
And we're still doing it. And the bottom line is, here's a situation where we could do this less expensively. It would actually cost the federal government less at the end of the day, more efficiently, help the local economy. Another way to keep people in New Jersey would be to do this, because you're going to have your community hospitals doing better and more people working in the community hospitals and more activity. So it's better, more efficient, less expensive, and much more humane. And we're still going to push for that pilot program. And I know they did do a program, and it's if you're 40 miles away or more, but the 40 miles, it doesn't really do it, because if you have any kind of a clinic within that 40 miles, you have a clinic where they cut your toenails.
Keeps happening along the way.
Yeah. So
you're within.
So you're within.
Terrible.
Exactly.
Absolutely terrible. Another people to follow your efforts are familiar that you've been very involved in issues involving animal cruelty.
Yeah, and it's always been near and dear to my heart, and within reason, not crazy stuff, not the extremes, but just as you know, and you look at my Facebook, and I love my German Shepherds, and my daughter Danielle loves her rescue dogs. In fact, everybody was down during July 4th, and the one rescue dog, which would have been put to sleep if it wasn't for her husband and her, is going to be 16 years old, and he's quite a character. He's getting a little slow, and
long in the tooth.
A little set, long in the tooth is right, and set in his ways, and he's quite a character though, and he's still around. You can measure human beings by many different factors. There are different barometers that you can measure a human being by. One of them is how you treat, how you treat your young folks. You can measure people by the way they treat people who are vulnerable, who can't strike back, people that they are not afraid of, or animals, because it's the same thing, So I've always said that when you see somebody, and I don't mean a hunter, I'm not anti-hunting, I have friends of mine who are avid hunters. Hunting is a respectful process, and the hunters are not out to hurt animals. They do what they do, and they do it in a very, very respectful way.
It's actually necessary because
necessary.
You
exactly.
have to keep things.
I'm speaking about people who actually torture animals, or the dog fighting, or some of the other stuff that goes on. I'll never forget the story we had, and the dog's name is Justice, and I will never forget the picture because it happened to be a German Shepherd. They found a dog in Fairfield Township, and it had been gutted, and they couldn't figure out what went on until they looked into it more. Harry, the dog was in so much pain because it was gutted alive that it actually bit its tongue off. The dog bit its own tongue off. And what they found eventually was, and I bet you're going to be able to guess what the dog was being used for, that it was gutted alive. It was a drug mule. And it was horrible. So they fed the dog the drugs, got the drugs in plastic bags, got it into the dog, got it where they needed to get it, and then just cut it right open. And the dog was just in so much excruciating pain that it bit its own tongue off. I had the longest time when I would tell the story, I used to have a big poster, and I still have a poster behind me of saying we have to do more and we have to do better. And we gradually have. It's hard with these animal laws because the animal groups very often don't agree with each other, and they argue with each other, and some of them get to be a little bit extreme. But it's really, really important. It's important for our own soul, for our own culture, for our own being to be more humane.
Here's an issue, and if anybody questions whether you have, stick-to-itiveness, getting the traffic lights off of the Garden State Parkway, you turned that into nothing short of a moral imperative. And there were times along the way that it looked like it wasn't going to happen. It's impossible, but you never gave up on that. That has been how many years in the making of your career?
Oh, literally since I was on the freeholder board. So we're talking probably 20 plus years. I'd even have to look back and see.
It's happening.
And it's happening. And it's an amazing, and it's being done well.
And it's going to save lives.
And I remember Jim Simpson, who I thought the world of. For those who are listening who don't know who Jim Simpson was, he was the commissioner of the Department of Transportation. And did you know him, Harry?
I knew of him.
Yeah.
Yes.
What a character.
Yep.
Funny, humorous, dynamic, powerful. I just love the guy. I love the guy. And I would call him up over anything, whether it was big or small. You could call Jim Simpson up, and he would kind of listen to you and say, we can work this out. We'll figure something. He was one of these guys, he would always say, we can figure it out. We can do it. There's a way to do this.
It's an amazing project when you look at it.
Oh, it is an amazing project, and it's really coming along, and it's going to make a huge difference, not only in time travel, but most importantly in life and death. So many folks, if you are...
By the way, very good chance those beautiful sisters would be alive if that was not as it is now.
There are so many individuals who have been hurt, who've lost their lives, who've been in accidents, and that was at the Parkway.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Here's one that I think people love to speculate. And I know you get approached, and the DNC is, and then the Democratic National Committee that looks for candidates. There's been a big push for many election cycles for you to run for the United States House of Representatives in District 2. Will the day come that you see yourself running for that position?
I don't know. I really don't know. And I do.
Would you like to be the congressman?
And that's a good question. And it's something that I really have to seriously sit down with myself and determine whether I want to change my lifestyle that much and actually go to Washington. And there would be a time probably in the past, I would say, that I would have liked it more. So much of what I see in Washington, and I don't have to tell you, you really follow this closely. Have you ever seen in our lifetime the level of dysfunction that exists in Washington?
It's the worst ever in our lifetime.
It is the worst in our lifetime. Exactly.
Terrible.
Maybe during
people
the
won't
time,
even vote for things they would normally vote for because they're all tied up crazy in knots with having to vote against things they're for, vote for things they're against. It's so dysfunctional that it's terrible to see.
So, that makes you think twice about it. At the same time, it's a great honor, and it really is. And
do you think you can make a difference?
Yes, I do think I can make a difference. I don't do things when I don't believe I can make a difference. I really do give it my all. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I fail. This is what I tell all my constituents. If constituents are listening out there, they've heard this before. I said, I won't. Anybody that ever tells you, Harry, that Jeff Van Drew made a promise, right from the get-go, they're not telling you straight. I don't make promises, except for one, that I will work my hardest and do my best. I will give it my most. I can't promise you anything except that I'll work my hardest and give it my most. And usually when you do that, sometimes things work out and you can make a difference. And, we've had... sometimes the experiences are really difficult and not pleasant. And sometimes you go home and wonder, why do I do this? This is so hard, and sometimes it's so dysfunctional what goes on, even at the state capitol. We had a young lady, and Allison Murphy, my chief of staff, helped with this, a young lady who had cancer, and she has cancer in her eye and needed special treatment in order to get rid of the cancer. And the insurance company, we've had this twice now with two different insurance companies. I won't mention which they are. The insurance company didn't want to cover it. And so what we did was we really threatened the insurance company, said that we were going to have an actual press conference detailing the way that they were, what they were doing and what their policies were. I mean, insurance companies sometimes, and this is a little bit the Democrat side of me maybe, human life to them is just a statistic. It isn't necessarily your brother, your sister, your daughter, your son, your mom, your dad, and you need people to fight for you. We don't win all those, but we've won some. We've won some where we've literally gotten people the treatment they needed from a hospital because we've gotten their insurance company to agree.
3 minutes left in the program. Let's take one more phone call. Ed is here. Ed, you can ask the Senator, Jeff Van Drew, right now. Ed, you're on the air.
Hi.
Good evening.
Senator. Jeff Van Drew.
Hi, Ed. How are you?
Well, it can always be better. I'm an oldie. I'm over 80 years of age.
God bless you, Ed.
But I try to follow the events, the current events, the things going on in Atlantic County and throughout a whole all of the governments. Now, there's a big issue here. It hasn't been brought up yet. I'm talking about the pipeline.
Yes.
I'm going to say, Senator, wasn't that pipeline voted down by the Pinelands Commission over a year ago?
Yes.
And why are you leading the charge to reopen it and that's your county, Cape May, and the people near that pipeline, both endangered. And there's many reasons why that pipeline going anywhere near or under or around the pineland.
All right, Ed, I'm going to jump in because the senator has only a little over a minute to answer. You're obviously in favor of it not happening. I disagree with you completely. Senator, your thoughts?
First of all, it's a 24-inch gas pipeline that's going to be under the shoulder of the road. It's not going to be in the heart of the Pinelands. The Pinelands already has 6 pipelines that are there already. It's going to create redundancy, which means that you'll have a second pipeline going into northern Cape May County, into that part of Atlantic County. So God forbid there's a storm or something happens, we have another source of natural gas. It will help us create jobs. The people that put the pipeline in are actually going to have jobs. The people that convert the plant are going to have jobs. The people that will work permanently in the plant will have jobs. The pipeline will burn cleaner and more efficiently. It will help Beasley's Point generating station burn cleaner and more efficiently than does coal currently. So it actually is going to be cleaner. It's going to create jobs. It doesn't run anywhere near the pines. Literally, it doesn't. It's technically the Pinelands. It's the shoulder of the road. In fact, I actually like to have a little fun and say maybe they'll clean up the shoulder of the road along the way there a little bit after they go there.
They're laying claim to it.
It's 24 inches wide, and it has natural gas in it. And we need a variety of answers in order to take care of our energy problems.
And by the way, there were shenanigans at the time of that vote. I don't have time to get into it, but we covered it very closely at the time. The votes were there to pass it. Shenanigans voted it down.
I'm sure. And there's 2 new commissioners now. And we have 2 new commissioners on there. And I think the mindset of the vast majority of people is that we should do it. It's the right thing to do.
30 seconds, closing comment.
It's great to be here with you, and this is what it's all about. And I really respect the folks that call in, and whether they're happy with what I'm doing or they have some tough questions, this is the process. It's democracy in action, and I'm proud to be part of it, proud to be associated with you, Harry Hurley, in this show. And I look forward to more discussions and more debates and more interesting dialogue.
Great first episode, Senator. And for all of our listeners, in the very near future, Chris will be attending to all the details. This will be on our YouTube channel, so it'll be on demand, that you can stream this hour and 5 minutes at will. And this Sunday in the 1 o'clock hour, it will replay in part of the best of Early in the Morning 4-hour block that we have every Sunday that Chris Coleman, our executive program director, selects. Mark Levin continues right now. I'll be back in less than 20 hours with Early in the Morning. Have a great rest of your night.
Glenn Beck, weekdays 10 to 1, WPGG.